This week on NWP, it's another sausage fest. And welcome to Nerds Without Pants, episode 7. I am Julian, and I'm joined, as always, by Patrick.
Hey, guys.
And from chud.com and justpressplay.net, we have Rob.
Hello.
And, yes, this is our unlucky episode 7. You may recall in our previous episode, we were hoping to have a special guest, from Rob's workplace, to talk about our favorite ladies of video games, but unfortunately she couldn't make it this week, so we don't really have a topic per se, because we definitely want her on board when we do our Femme Fatales episode. So we're just going to freestyle it for you and just talk about some stuff about some games and other things that are kind of game related and stuff and junk. So we're off to a wonderful start already.
Emphasis on the stuff and junk.
Yeah, I've got junk.
Emphasis on it.
I also played a lot of stuff, but I wanted to kind of hear from you guys first. Rob, what have you been up to since we last recorded?
I've been reviewing a lot of movies for Just Press Play, and I have to talk about this one a little bit because by the time the show goes live, my review will be up. But I reviewed a really amazing movie that was absolutely hysterical. It's called A Beginner's Guide to Endings. It stars Harvey Keitel, Scott Conn, Paolo Costanzo, Jason Jones, Trisha Helfer from Mass Effect, so it's a little related.
And Battlestar.
And Battlestar, and J.K. Simmons also. And it's basically about a really shitty father played by Harvey Keitel. The film's a comedy. It's basically about the three oldest sons living their life to the fullest under the impression that they're going to die. And it's really very sweet, very touching. There's two other brothers, two younger brothers. One of them is a little boy, and he hangs out with Costanzo's character. It's just really and sweet, and I gave it a high review. I'm going to absolutely sing the film's praises. I think I never heard until I got the bit, but it's really great. A Beginner's Guide to Endings. It's directed by Jonathan Sobel and written by him as well. So A Beginner's Guide to Endings. It's really fantastic, and if you haven't been watching the latest season of Louie on FX, I really feel sorry for you. That's it.
Louie's been one of the best comedy shows, I think, since it started, but it keeps getting better as you get more attached to him.
Oh my god, doesn't it? It's really unbelievable. The funny thing is a lot of comedians are not great actors. Like Jerry Seinfeld, brilliant comedian, brilliant writer, clearly the weakest actor on that show. But with Louis C.K., the guy is just getting better and better and better every single episode. The emotion that he puts out just from a look is better than anything a lot of high profile actors can emote. So I don't know. I'm really turning into this Louis C.K. fanatic, even though I never really liked his I wasn't really a big fan of his stand up before, but I love his writing and I love his show.
Yeah, he puts himself in a lot of sticky situations that Seinfeld wouldn't, and in the end, they sort of have similar structures of the show, but Louis C.K. is a lot dirtier, and I don't mean that in a vulgar way, but he's just in a lot of dirtier places and more underground stuff. But this season, there's that weird chick he goes on a date with, and she won't tell him her name, and they go up on the roof, and it seems like she might kill herself or something like that. I mean, he's just always with crazy people.
Yeah, I love Parker Posey too. She's amazing. I want to see her come back. The latest episode had David Lynch in it, for God's sakes, and it's like, why is David Lynch popping up in this show? It makes no sense. It's so strange. But like, I just love when, comedians will pop up on the show, like Maria Bamford will appear, and then Chris Rock will appear, and, all these amazing people. So I don't know. I just feel like Louis does everything right. That show just does every single thing right.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not watching that, you're crazy. And you need to see A Beginner's Guide to Endings. Everybody needs to watch A Beginner's Guide to Endings.
And that name again, in case we forgot it.
A Beginner's Guide to Endings.
Oh, okay.
I didn't catch it the first 8 times.
It's actually called A Beginner's Guide to Endings.
Okay. Oh, A Beginner's Guide. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I better look it up right now.
Yeah, because I was actually Googling Journeyman's Guide.
Oh.
It wasn't coming up with anything.
Oh, also, I'm throwing this last bit in there. The comedian series of Before Watchmen is finally getting incredible. So now.
Have you made any other big additions to the comedian right then?
Yeah, well, I have every single one. I bought 3 copies of the same issue yesterday. I bought the variant cover, the regular cover, and then they had a special digital version of the regular edition, and the cover was black and white, so I was like, I gotta buy it, because it's a comedian, it's black and white. So.
The comic book store owner must love you. He's just like,
They know me by name now, because they know that I'm like the comedian fan. I'm like the only one who's like, yeah, the comedian's my favorite. Everyone else is like, Rorschach! Night Owl.
By the way, I saw this one comic book movie over the past week or so. It's called Comic Book Villains. Have you guys ever heard of that?
Yes, yeah. It's, that's with, Donald Logue, I think, right? He's in that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, it's hilarious. At the end, it has a good climax where the guy goes through every, first, appearance of, the big superheroes, and, if he doesn't get them right, he dies or something like that. But, I don't know.
So, Rob, any gaming that you got to do since our last episode? I know it's only been a week again, but.
Excuse me. Not really. I haven't played too much. I played a little bit more Sleeping Dogs, and a little bit further down the rabbit hole with that one to use the parlance of our times. And I finally got to meet Emma Stone in the game, which is nice. And
I thought you meant in real life.
No, I wish. She's just so good. It's so funny. Some voice actors when they perform sound a little stilted, but listening to her talk in the game, it just sounds like, oh, that's Emma Stone. That's how she acts. That's how she sounds. So, I don't know. She's like a natural, I guess, behind the microphone and in front of the camera.
That's cool, yeah, because I think I mentioned before that having actual, film actors in my video games is sometimes not what I want, because I do prefer, the dedicated voice actor, but, I think it's all about the direction, whoever's directing the cast, it can have a really big impact on how something comes out.
I was also supposed to attend an XCOM event going on around the week of this podcast going live, but I'm not going to be able to go.
Oh, that makes me sad. I'm really excited about XCOM.
I know, me too. I pre-ordered it. I also might be getting to review this little game. It's kind of it's a first-person shooter. You guys might have heard of the first one, Borderlands.
I
might be getting Borderlands 2 to review. I'm not 100%, but looking forward to playing that.
Yeah,
because it's funny, I wrote an article for it for IB Times. Yeah, right? It just sounds so good. I wrote an article about it for the IB Times, and I was just really, really getting excited about it while writing it, and that's one of the first times that's ever happened to me. While actually writing an article, I started getting more and more interested in what I was writing about. But yeah, it just looks so good. I already know who I'd like to play as and everything, so kind of nerding out.
Kind of sad that they don't have the siren from the last game because she was so fine, and that was my character.
I mean, there's only so many in that universe. Yeah, there's only a dozen or something, I think they said. And I kind of like the new one. I like her power a lot. I like the idea that, you could be in a huge firefight with you and your friends, and she's just gonna freeze, the main bad guy that's coming at you. I think that's neat. I think
it's pretty awesome.
It's a cool power. But I'm actually playing. Yeah, I'm actually planning on playing as Axton, the soldier. I played as Roland in the first game, even though I never finished it because nobody will play with me. But yeah, I plan on playing as Axton, the soldier. Just the idea of upgrading my turret ability to the point where I could have 2 turrets really is fucking exciting.
2 turrets?
Dude, it really excites me. I would be excited to play as the Necromancer too if it wasn't a little girl.
I just love that name. Like it's such a good class name.
It really is. And, I mean, there's not really anything wrong with any of the characters. They're all interesting in their own way, or they have, like, a really cool power that sets them apart. I mean, everybody, and Randy Pitchford said this, but, like, everybody and their mom on day 1 is going to play as Zero, the ninja, so I'm just writing that character off as, like, I'm never going to play as that one, so.
I'd probably end up with a Gunzerker because I like dual wielding in most of my RPGs.
I like that you said that because not a lot of people are saying that. I think that's cool.
That's so funny because, like, he was, like, the one, like, when the first game came out, like, he can hold 2 guns! Any 2 guns! And, like, everybody got excited, but I guess since they revealed the others, like, they don't care anymore.
Yeah. He looks like such a cool character, and especially, you know, in terms of comedy, I think he looks really funny, too. Like, he's got a lot of really funny names for his powers, and he's, like, a ridiculous over-the-top guy.
Yeah, he looks like a really over-exaggerated version of you.
Yeah. He really does, only he's, like, half the size.
Yeah.
I like the customization that they're introducing into it too. I'm just really excited for Borderlands. I almost might, if I don't get it to review, I might actually buy it.
Yeah, I would. It's just I still haven't finished the first one either, and I've got that huge backlog, so it won't be in my possession anytime soon. But
yeah,
I will listen to people talk about it.
I finished the first one, but the second one is essentially going to be like $100 game because there's, you know, like 4 stages of DLC that come out too, so I might wait for the Game of the Year version. But
that's a good point.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I like the Skyrim thing, which I'm still, well, I guess we're getting close to a Game of the Year Skyrim announcement.
Yeah.
Although, actually, they haven't really released a lot of DLC, have they? They've just done, like, 2.
Done. They said they're done.
Really? Oh, wow.
They said Hearthfire was the last one.
Interesting.
I believe. Yeah, I mean, in the article that I wrote about it, they talked about how it was going to be the last one.
I wonder what the fans think about that.
Which is weird, because that's only 2.
Yeah, because they had said they were going to have meatier expansions, but less of them. But I wonder if the fans are okay with just 2.
Well, when you think about the other one, Oblivion, there was only 2. There was Knights of the Nine and the other one, the fucking Shivering Isles. I mean, there was only 2 for that.
That's true, but I think Fallout got people expecting, you know, multiple chapters coming out throughout the year. Yeah.
I still need to buy the Fallout New Vegas Game of the Year, whatever, special edition, so I can go through that shit again.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, that's pretty much all I've been up to. I finished 50 Shades of Grey also. I finished that a couple weeks ago.
I've been dying to hear what you think about that.
I loved it. I really loved it. I think I skipped the last 2 or 3 sex scenes because they just got boring as shit.
Right.
But, I really did enjoy it. I found the narrative to be good. It's probably the worst written book I've ever read in my entire life. E.L. James is a piss poor reader. But, yeah. It's really bad. But overall it's good. It's interesting. It's very sexy. I couldn't stand Anna for most of the book, but then I started to like her more. And I couldn't stand her friend from the beginning, Kate, I think her name is. She's a horrible human being, and I just wanted to see her go away forever. Christian I really liked. Hosea I did not like at all, because I know too many guys like that. And, yeah, I just really dug it. And if Matt Bomer ends up playing him in the movie, I will not see it. That's all. I need to stand behind Bret Easton Ellis when he says Matt Bomer is all wrong for Christian Grey. And I agree, damn it.
I'm just shocked that you actually really enjoyed that book. I'm kind of flabbergasted.
I'm actually really looking forward to reading the second ones. I have to get them from my friend Bahar. So I'm looking forward to reading the other ones.
I think the second one is where, like, probably my feelings towards the first one have been impacted by how much I hated the second one. Mm-hmm. And I think part of it is it gets so repetitive. Her with her inner goddess and, like, constantly talking about it. And then, like, people actually start calling Christian 50 Shades, like, to his face. Like, it becomes, like, a nickname that not only she uses,
Yeah.
So
that's bad.
Yeah, and so then she just starts calling him 50. And I'm like, what? Did he survive, like, a gun shooting? Like is he 50?
What bothers me in terms of, like, the movie being adapted in terms of the book being adapted for the screen, is if they put any of that inner goddess bullshit in there. Like, what I'm imagining is, like, cutaways to a woman representing her inner goddess or something. Like, imagine it's, like, Angelica Houston representing the inner goddess, like, seeing her reactions like it. That kills me. So yeah, I have a feeling, like, if they bring on a lesser screenwriter, they're going to put that shit in there. But hopefully they don't.
Well, there will actually be, like, 3 versions of her, and, like, you see, like, these imaginary versions of her, doing backflips or wagging a finger at her and stuff like that. Like, yeah, that would not be any good.
Yeah. No, it could be, like, if it was a quirky comedy, it would work, but not for what this material is.
Right. What were you saying, Patrick?
I was going to say, listeners, we are not just hits. I wanted to talk about another book, as long as we're talking about books that came out this week on my birthday, September 11th. It's called Telegraph Avenue by Michael Chabon, and the reason that I bring it up in the multimedia portion of our podcast is that it's not just an ebook, that it's like doing this unique thing that I've seen for the first time with Telegraph Avenue. Not only is it just letters, it's also got its own theme song, and it's got like a whole soundtrack available, and it's like a totally enhanced ebook that has like links in the book to like different audio clips and stuff like that. And it's all about like the vinyl era and like blaxploitation, and like one of the main stars is a blaxploitation actor, and I don't know. It's just like, it's so campy, but like it's also at the same time written by a guy who can win the Pulitzer Prize. So I think you should give Telegraph Avenue a shot, and actually don't get the physical version, get the ebook.
Michael Chabon is one of those writers who, like, everything he touches is gold. So, anything he does is great. Like, he's part of the reason Spider-Man 2 is as popular as it is, because it's so good. Michael Chabon had a little bit to do with Spider-Man 2. So, the guy's a great writer. Cavalier and Clay is fucking incredible. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, me being, Mr. Physical Media, I've been anti-ebook, but that's a really cool concept, Patrick. Like, I know George Takei is doing something similar with, because since he won the internet, basically, like, I know he's working on a book where it's a similar thing where, it's kind of about him winning the internet, but then there's also links to a lot of the stuff that he talks about.
Oh my.
And it's called Oh My.
Can I tell you just very quickly about when I met him?
No.
He is one of the sweetest. That sounded disgusting. That he is one of the sweetest guys that I've ever met in terms of like actors or whatever. He just could not have been a nicer guy. Very down to earth, very sweet, just very like friendly to every single person that was in the area. So, hooray for George Takei.
Because it seems like he's been very winky and nodding with all this stuff. Like, he's not really the one who came up with this whole like oh my stuff, but he like totally embraced it and made it his own. And then it was like all of a sudden people start posting all these pictures from him on Facebook. I'm like, when did George Takei become the ruler of the internet? Because this is all awesome stuff. I never get bored when people like repost his stuff. Like,
he was the first voice heard on the Howard Stern show when it went to satellite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he introduced the Howard, because he's a big friend of the Stern show. And, he was on Adventure Time a couple times, playing a really funny, a villain. And he says, oh my, in his second appearance in Adventure Time. So it's great.
I just love the idea, because, there's a lot of talk about, like, when older people have trouble with technology and stuff like that. Yeah. But I love the fact that, like, the original Star Trek cast is so plugged in. Yeah. Like, the fact that Leonard Nimoy tweets often. And I wonder if it's just, like, having been with sci-fi for almost their entire career, if that just kind of kept them up on it, so to speak.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Because they're so good with it, and they're not confused by it at all, and it's like they're still relevant.
Yeah.
Even as Star Trek just had its, like, 46th anniversary.
So awesome. George Takei told a really funny story, at the event that I went to, where he was on the set, obviously, of the original Star Trek or whatever, and there were some reporters there, and apparently a lot of the cast got, like, very deep into their roles and, like, learning. So this kind of goes along with what you're saying about the technology thing. They got really into their roles and, like, learning about the universe of Star Trek and all that stuff. And apparently on the console, on Sulu's console there, navigating the ship or whatever, there was a button, some sort of, like, almost red button kind of thing, like when you think of, like, the big red candy-like button in everything. There was apparently something like that on the console. And George Takei had invested so much in, like, learning everything about it that when a reporter came over and started pressing buttons on the console, he went to press the red button, and George Takei was like, "No!" and slapped his hand away. And then the reporter's like, what's going on? It's just, it's fiberglass and whatever, paint. And George Takei is like, that's the one that detonates the ship.
Yeah.
Like, he just got, like, so into it that he invested everything into these, like, fictional buttons on his fictional science fiction television show. It's so awesome.
I love that. That's an awesome story. Patrick, do you get up to anything else?
Well, I've been a little bit sick. I'm going back to work and stuff. I went back to work after my surgery, so I haven't played too much, but for my birthday I did get, PlayStation Move from my gram, because she always likes to support my habit of video gaming. And, so I've been using that to play with Child of Eden, and that's, you guys all know it came out a while ago, but I'm into those, like, Resi types of shooters, and, I've just played a couple levels, but I feel like it's gonna be one of those ones that I come back to a lot and try to get high scores on, because I just defeated this, Stingray in the sky. And, like, I don't know, there's, like, this crazy music at the end of each level. It was just, this, like, lady in the middle of outer space is, like, coming at me, and I'm, like, I don't know, making all these hand motions. I just feel so into it. It feels so interactive and great.
Is it one of those games where you're not sure if it's actually the game visuals or your painkillers kicking in?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things.
That's actually really cool, because it also seems like it would be some good, like, therapy for your shoulder.
I can't do it with my right shoulder yet. I can't move it that high up, but someday, yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah. Healing with video games.
Well, they do it. They have, it's a good thing. Like, the Wii, that's probably the best thing that came out of the Wii, is that it got, older people in facilities and stuff moving, and it got kids who have limited mobility moving. So,
yeah,
it's important.
There is a study that came out, though, that said, like, 17% of Wii users have stopped playing the system or something like that, and I think it's mostly the old people, which sucks, because they might have seen it as kind of like a fad. I don't know. Especially with iOS gaming coming out. The study was on, like, Kotaku, I think.
Huh. And it was older people? It was older people who stopped using it, or is that just, like, a guess?
It was like a guess. It was like finding out why 17% of the people have stopped playing playing video games on that system.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say the obvious, but if it was the older people, it's probably because they kind of passed on.
Oh, too soon.
Oh my god, you did it.
I'm just saying, like, if that's where the numbers are coming from. I think.
I said also because the games have kind of passed on.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, I think honestly, like that number is probably more core people like us who was like, okay, the Wii is kind of done, so we're going to move on. I mean, obviously got some decent games recently, but by and large, there hasn't been much for the system, so people are kind of looking to the next thing, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But unlike you guys, I actually played some games, damn it. Like, I don't know what you guys have been up to, but I've actually played a lot.
Pre-ordering iPhone 5? Geez.
Yeah, we'll get to that too. So yeah, I've been playing a bunch of games for review. As I said on the previous episode, I finished Way of the Samurai 4, and my review's up on the site, you can check it out. That is not a well-made game, guys. It's actually a very poorly made game. But I kind of love it. It's such a weird thing where, on every single level I can say, this is not good. The graphics are horrendous, the animation is bad. I was a big fan of the first Way of the Samurai on the PlayStation 2, and I didn't play the others. But this game is probably about the same size as the PlayStation 2 version that came out 10 years ago. as far as just very small environments and very few of these environments. So there's not a lot to do in the game, but it's still this kind of choose-your-own-adventure samurai adventure. That's redundant, but it's true. Where if you want, you can beat that game in 5 minutes because you can see what's going on in the town. There's all these factions that are fighting for survivability, and you can just decide, oh, F this, I'm just going to leave. And you just talk to the boatman and walk away, and that's a legitimate ending to that game. It's a game that's intended to be played over and over, doing different things and finding different outcomes. And there's also this really awesome kind of gotta-catch-em-all mentality to the weapons, because there's 109 different unique weapons that you can get. And of course, any of the major characters have a specific weapon that you can get. So it's kind of like, even when you're going through the story, you're like, I kind of want to pick a fight with you and kill you so I can get your sword. That's just this thing that you start thinking about. But if you're a big samurai aficionado like me, and I am, I love that stuff. I think the samurai are probably the most amazing warriors of history. I just love their fighting style and their philosophy and stuff like that. Way of the Samurai 4 is definitely worth checking out, even though, and I will keep saying this, it is not a well-made game. But if you're that very specific type of person that's into stuff like Rurouni Kenshin or Last Samurai or any of the philosophies and stuff like that, you're probably going to dig it way more than you should. So again, with a very, very large caveat, I would suggest checking it out, but only, if you meet this criteria. And then I did play another game that I actually do legitimately love, and that's Mutant Mudds, which is a little indie game that I think it started off on the eShop for the 3DS.
Yeah, it's been out there for a while.
Yeah. I actually reviewed the PC version, which just came out. Yeah. And that's just a delightful little platformer. Rob, I was actually thinking about you the whole time that I was playing it, because the aesthetics really reminded me of Earthbound.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very bright and uncluttered in the way that Earthbound was. And the developers call it a 12-bit game, because it's kind of straddling the line between 8 and 16-bit.
Okay.
Most of the character sprites look almost 8-bit, but the backgrounds are way too detailed to have come out on the NES or anything.
What is it called?
It's called Mutant Mudds. And it's a side-scrolling platforming game, but it does this really awesome thing with depth of field, where at certain points in each level, you switch between the background and foreground and middle ground. Mm-hmm. And so it's this really interesting challenge of trying to figure out how to get through the levels, but also having to parse the fact that, wait, that platform's in the foreground, so I can't get to that yet, so I can't jump there, but it kind of looks like I can. Stuff like that, it really plays with your head. But it's a really charming little game. There's not a lot to it, but it's really fun. My review's up on the site for that as well. So I suggest if you have either a PC or a 3DS, 3DS would actually be the preferable way to play it, I'm sure, because I did have issues playing it with the keyboard controls. I don't have a controller for my laptop. So that was the only real wrinkle that I ran into.
That reminds me on 3DS.
This game looks beautiful.
New Super Mario Brothers 2.
What was that, Patrick?
That reminds me on 3DS that I got New Super Mario Brothers 2.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I got that way back when the first day it came out. I just haven't been able to play it too much since I've been a little sick, but I'm already at World 6, which shows you how little content there really is.
So, and what are you thinking? Is it really just more New Super Mario Brothers?
Yeah, I like the new power-up a ton, and I like setting new records for my street pass and stuff like that. It's just that I don't meet anybody else who has records yet. So I think it could be cooler eventually when more people have 3DSs in big cities and I'm meeting people with records and I can see, how mine stack up. But right now it's just I don't have too much incentive to try to keep going back to it besides get to that 1 million coin mark, which unlocks not that much.
Right. It's kind of like getting 120 stars in Mario 64. It's oh, Yoshi's here to give me 1-ups. I don't need them anymore.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking at this Mutant Mudds game. Apparently, back in 2009, it was a 3D platformer.
Really?
Yeah, and it looked beautiful then, and the images look beautiful now. It looks very Super Mario Bros. 2 to me, which I like, and the 3D version looks incredible. So they had an entire 3D framework built, and then they decided to go 2D.
That's so weird, because it just seems so tailored to, like, 2D sprites. Like, that's really shocking to me. And I, honestly, like, a 3D one would probably be fine, but I really do prefer, I think the sprite art is really what made that game special to me.
Yeah.
And like I said, Rob, like, it definitely reminded me a lot of Earthbound as I was going through it.
Yeah, it's got, like, this neighborhood vibe to it. Yeah. I really like this. This looks really nice.
Yeah. I remember these 3D pics now. Like, oh man, this game's not going to come out now.
But it did, and it's fantastic. It's just 2D.
Think of it like this, though. If the game does well enough, then maybe they can go back and refinance the 3D version and do it as a sequel.
Yeah, and put Ness in it.
And put Ness in it, and Paula, Jeff, and Pooh.
Yeah, and it's only $10 on Good Old Games, so I definitely recommend checking it out if you like really fun, gorgeous platformers.
We don't support Good Old Games. No, I'm just kidding.
But, and then I played another game which, Mutant Mudds is like a new retro game. And I also played Double Dragon Neon, which is kind of also hitting that retro vibe, something really, really fierce. It's not a HD remake, it's more of like a reimagining of the original Double Dragon, and this is by Way Forward, a team that is known for their gorgeous hand-drawn sprites. And this is their first, polygonal game. And there were a lot of people that were really worried when they said that Neon was going to be a 3D game, but it looks gorgeous, guys. It's a really beautiful game. It's actually set in the 80s, just like the original Double Dragon. So it's just like covered in neon and bad taste, and just a lot of really neat touches, like guys wearing gold chains and like hair picks in their afros, or like pastel bandanas wrapped around their ankles and stuff like that. And it's even got like this faux 80s soundtrack. Like they have the soundtrack is fantastic, guys. It's available for free right now. I went ahead and paid $5 for it because I loved it so much. But it's a combination of like wonderful remixes of the original Double Dragon tunes, but also music inspired by the 80s that feels like it could have fit in the 80s. Sort of like the soundtrack for That Thing You Do, the movie where, they wanted to hit the same vibes of the time period, but they didn't want to reuse the stuff that everybody always reuses. And it's just this really fresh take on the Double Dragon franchise. Only problems, well, there's a few problems. The enemies take way too many hits to go down, to the point of being ridiculous, where even the first couple enemies that you're fighting, it's like, really? You're going to get up after that? Like, again? Oh, and you're still not done. Okay, I guess I'll pound on you some more. And the difficulty just really gets to some ridiculous and crazy levels, towards the end of the game. And the final boss is one of the most grueling, time-intensive things I've ever had to deal with. And especially the fact that there's no online co-op, so I had to go it alone. And that took a few tries, because he's pretty tough. Mm-hmm. But, if you have a buddy that can actually play couch co-op with you, I do recommend picking it up. If anything, just to get to the ending of that game and experience the most incredible end credits music of all time. It's really fun, even though the game's kind of dumb with its humor. Your main bad guy is named Skullmageddon, and he's like this weird, like it's almost like they were inspired by the Double Dragon cartoon, of all things, for some parts of it. He's like this really low-rent Skeletor, and he even is doing like a Skeletor-type voice, and has all these terrible bone puns. And there's some really weird stuff like that. Like one of the bosses is this guy on a jet bike that has a gun. He kind of resembles Mega Man X, and sure enough, when you kill him, he actually explodes in Mega Man style. Like the do. So, I don't know, the game's kind of all over the place. But I kind of dig it. I have the review code for the PS3, but I almost bought the 360 version for achievements because I really like the game. So, take that for what it is. But this episode's going to have quite a bit of music from Double Dragon Neon because it's just that damn good.
Well.
I got nothing for that because I don't give a shit until it has online co-op.
Right,
so,
yeah. That's kind of that's a really, I can't believe that it's not in there. I guess apparently they're supposed to patch it in later, but I don't see how you launch a game like that without online co-op just straight out of the gate.
Yeah, that's really
kind of inexcusable. And I reviewed it based on what I was given. So if they patch it in later, that's cool, but it really needs to be in there now. So
they said that they're going to patch it in later, but that's, I mean, if they charge for it, they can fuck themselves.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be free, but even so, like, I have to review what was given to me, and what was given to me was a couch co-op only game. So that definitely factored into my review.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's kind of done it for me. I'm playing another game for review, which I'll talk about on our next episode because I believe that it's the cure for insomnia. And I'm going to do something special for that game once my review is done, and then we'll do something special on the show here because I think it can be a really fun bit. But that will be later on.
We've got another game coming out for review soon too. Yeah. It should be by the next episode.
Awesome. That's going to do it for that part of the show. We're kind of moving along. But some pretty big things came since our previous episode, some big game news. And we're usually not big on the video game news here, but you kind of have to talk about this stuff. And since we have kind of a free-form episode this week, I thought we'd go ahead and do it. Rob, did you want to kind of talk to the good people about one of the big announcements?
Sure. Oh, man. I don't know how many people are really in love with mobile gaming. I like it for the most part. I don't go crazy for it. But the iPhone 5 is a thing that is happening. And the iPhone 5 apparently is going to have graphics that are on par with current gen systems. I don't see how that's remotely possible, but I do buy it because there's a lot of trickery going on with the iOS framework, and there's a lot of trickery going on with the current gen iPhones to make things look incredible. So, like, take a look at something like Infinity Blade, which is running on, what is that, Unreal? It's running on the Unreal Engine, and that looks beautiful, and it looks almost 360 quality. So, I guess I do buy that it looks as good as current gen systems, but I'm mostly excited for the iPhone 5. I'm not going to buy one right away. I'm not that big a mobile gamer in the sense that I need to rush out and buy an iPhone 5. But the concept behind it is that it has a better chipset, has better processors, especially for something like 3D. There's a great Forbes article by Daniel Nye Griffiths, and he just talks about, the things that they speculated before and the things that are actually happening. So the iPhone 5 is going to come out with iOS 6. It's going to come out with Facebook integration with all video games that are going to be on the platform, which is insane when you think about it. It's also going to have standard integration with Apple TV, which would be interesting if that somehow worked in with the games as well. I don't know if that's going to happen, but apparently the Siri dev kit is going out to iOS developers too. So that means voice-enabled gaming for the phone as well. So a lot of really weird, exciting stuff from Apple on that front. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I didn't realize when I saw the keynote that it was going to have racing games that looked up to the quality of Gran Turismo 5.
Yeah.
And if they can like have you talk to your pit and stuff like that in the middle of the game, that would make it even cooler. I didn't realize that it was going to have Siri working with the games.
I know.
I pre-ordered it because I haven't had an Apple iPhone yet. Like, if I already had one, I wouldn't get it right away. Mm-hmm. But I have, like, this old BlackBerry Curve from college that I didn't upgrade when the 4S came out, because I was like, the iPhone 5 is a better number.
Yeah. The funny thing about it is they say that the performance of the A6 processor, the CPU, in the iPhone 5, and this is a quote from the CCO of PlayScreen, this is via Kotaku, the performance of the A6 looks on par with the Xbox 360. Now that blows my mind. And, there's a lot of talk about the pressure that Apple's going to be putting on game developers and hardware manufacturers. It's just really crazy, the idea that this is a phone, everybody. Like, this is a phone that we're talking about, and the first wave is already sold out. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah, I hope they do some really cool gaming with near-field communications and stuff like that, too.
That would be really awesome if they could do that.
Yeah, like augmented reality stuff, which hasn't been done too well yet.
Yeah.
I mean, 3DS tried, but...
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. But, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to rush out and buy it or anything, but I am certainly excited.
I have a problem. I don't know what case I should buy. Like either a Trident or an OtterBox.
I would go with an OtterBox. Those things are basically indestructible.
Yeah, that's what I have on mine. They're pretty nice.
Yeah. TIE Fighter has one that makes his iPhone look like a Game Boy.
Oh, yeah. I would pick that then.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Any way to make a modern ass iPhone look like a brick Game Boy from 1989, I'm all for.
Yeah, white boy problems.
Yeah.
White people's problems.
And sort of the iPhone will tie in with something I wanted to talk about regarding PopCap later, and also a little bit more. I wanted to talk about Rovio later as well, but I would rather talk about Rovio after the Wii U stuff. But the thing about mobile gaming right now is that there's so much of it, and it's sort of like the indie game marketplace on the Xbox. For every great game, there's like a dozen shitty ones. So I think the push here with the iPhone 5 is to develop higher quality games and make the development a little bit more open for indie devs especially, which is really exciting,
Yeah. I guess for me with the iPhone 5, it doesn't really do anything for me. We talked about this after we finished recording the Vices episode, because we had talked about technology addiction and stuff like that, and I was talking about how, I have an iPhone, it's fine, but I don't like how much time I spend on it, during the day, and I'm thinking that when it's time to get a new phone, I'm just going to go back to an old style flip phone, if I can find one, because I don't know, I don't really like being a slave to my phone, and I spend more time on it than I would like.
Yeah.
But as far as the iPhone 5 and it being like, up to like 360 quality and stuff, like that's really amazing from a pure technical standpoint. But I think about all of the games that I've really enjoyed on iOS, and they have been the very simple, very basic games. Stuff like Tiny Tower, Game Dev Story, Ziggurat, stuff like that. I have some of the more intensive games like Infinity Blade and Mass Effect Infiltrator, I think. Yeah. And I didn't really care for them as much. And part of it is just the interface. I think even though you can do like fully 3D games and stuff like that, there still isn't a very good, viable solution for the controls, at least that I've seen. So that doesn't really thrill me. I mean, I think, the other features would probably be really awesome, but as far as gaming goes, I kind of still just want these very simple, multi-touch games that are very easy to pick up and play, and I can even play one-handed if I need to.
Did you see at PAX Prime the new Double Fine game that's coming out on iOS devices?
No.
Because it's just like Game Dev Story. It looks really cool. you're like a middle manager and you take down and out superheroes and you try to make them like feel good about themselves and get them to do better in your company and level them up and stuff.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I was actually just looking at videos of Brutal Legend last night in my weird YouTube rabbit hole that I went down after writing my Neon review. Mm-hmm. And man, I'm gonna have to replay that game just for the story. I hate the gameplay with a passion of Brutal Legend, but the story is so good. It's one of my favorite love stories in video game history, and I just love the character designs and the animation and the voice acting. So I might have to pop that back in at some point and just like set it on easy and blow through the game. I love Double Fine.
You need to play the Halloween game or whatever, Costume Quest.
I do. I only got the demo when it came out. I should pick that up as we get closer, because I'm sure it'll go on sale, coming up in next month. Yeah,
and it's funny because like I put the game down for how many months or whatever, and now I'm going to go back to it, and it's like, oh, right around Halloween time. Great. So, we are officially in fall mode here in the Northeast New York. It's beautiful out. It's like just waiting for the leaves to change color, and then we're good.
Yeah, it's still hot over here.
It's been so beautiful. It's just been nice and cool and everything. Like, this is definitely my favorite time of year. Like, oh, so nice.
Mm-hmm. So
Sorry.
Are you thinking about your Halloween costume?
I am thinking about my Halloween costume a little bit. I had plans, what I wanted to do with my ex and, like, the group of friends that we share. We talked about being, Watchmen. We were going to be characters from Watchmen.
I was going to say, are you going to be confused?
Yeah, so we were talking about doing that, but she and I broke up and she's lame as shit, so I don't think that that's going to happen. Ty and I were going to do Wreck-It Ralph and Fix-It Felix. We were talking about doing that. I don't know if I really want to do that.
I can so see you with Wreck-It Ralph, though. Like, that would make me so happy, especially because we're going to do a Wreck-It Ralph special edition of the show, like after we all see it. Yeah. And like it would be wonderful to be able to put a picture of you as Wreck-It Ralph in the show notes.
We could do that. I'll take a picture of me as Wreck-It Ralph. But I'm really leaning towards being the Shadow. That's what I'm like, because I watched The Shadow the other night. It's like one of my favorite Alec Baldwin movies, and I was like, man,
sorry.
I know, it's weird for me. It's like The Shadow, The Departed, Hunt for Red October, Glenn Ross, but The Shadow I love. So I think I'd really like to be the Shadow.
Get that schnoz.
He does have that huge schnoz. I would have to wear a prosthetic nose.
Yeah. Which you have done before.
I have. I have indeed.
But, yeah, we did mention it, briefly, but the other big thing in gaming was the final launch info for Nintendo's Wii U system, which, in case you didn't know, they're going to release 2 versions of the system. There's a basic one for $299. That's going to be the white system, and it comes with 8 gigs of internal storage, and then of course the controller and cables. And then the $349 deluxe set, that's a sleek black system, but it has 32 gigs of storage, and it comes with a charging cradle for the gamepad, as well as Nintendo Land, and enrollment in the deluxe digital promotion, which is, I guess I didn't really watch that part of the presentation, so I'm kind of fuzzy on the details on that.
Can you, to interrupt, what is the Nintendo Land thing? What is that?
Oh, well, if you remember that was like people were wondering if that was going to be the pack-in, like Wii Sports. They showed it at E3 where it's basically a theme park based with attractions based on Nintendo properties. So you got like a Mario one, a Zelda one, a Metroid one.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a bunch of like very simple mini games. Doesn't look like something that you would want to pay money for.
Right.
So it looks like something that like could have more potential than was realized.
Oh yeah, I mean, at the presentation they showed the Metroid attraction, and it looked pretty boring to me. But then I was like, well, in the context of it just being a mini game in a collection of 11 mini games, I guess it's fine. But at first I was thinking of it as a standalone thing, and it looked like junk to me. But in a collection, it looks fine.
I was at GameStop, a couple GameStops last night, and I took a look at like the Wii. They already have the pre-orders up for like what Wii U games you want, and I was not excited by any of them. Like none of them did it for me. So
yeah, I was streaming the presentation at work, and I was like, okay, guys, like this is it, like sell me on this system, because I was pretty much already like in the camp. Like I was like, I want something shiny and new. Like you just have to like lock it in for me. And they didn't really lock it in for me. They didn't really show me anything.
Yeah. I mean, the new Batman looked awful. Have you guys seen the new Batman? Like, I mean, obviously it's not new, but my God, it's awful. He looks terrible. And Catwoman looks, no, man.
It looks the same.
It's just, I think the design decisions that they made. Are you serious? No way, dude. No way.
Game.
I mean.
Yeah, I didn't see any difference.
Yeah.
Are you didn't see the complete redesign of the character and his uniform?
Yeah, I didn't look closely.
I guess not. Like I just they started showing Batman, and I was like, okay, well, it's just Batman. No, I mean, but then
no, you need to see it. It's really bad.
But then they go and drop this megaton of Bayonetta 2 as a Wii U exclusive, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, how does that happen?
I thought you loved that.
Oh, I do, yeah. Like I was actually talking to JD on Facebook at the time, and I actually dropped an F-bomb. I was so shocked. I was like, what? But, who knows when that's coming, because, I mean, it was like a teaser of a teaser. So, I'm sure that's not anytime soon. But, I don't know, what do you guys think? Like, the price to me seems, a little bit, well, actually quite a bit higher than I was hoping for. So, I think I will not be picking it up at launch, because I'm trying to get over to visit Rob for WrestleMania, and that's basically the price of the Wii U is my trip and ticket for the show.
The funny thing is like, for me, it really depended on what it's going to launch with, what games it's going to, drop. And I don't, I'm not going to be playing Black Ops 2 on a Wii. I'm not going to be playing Skylanders. I'm not going to be playing any of these games. I don't care about playing another Mario game. So there's nothing for me there. If something comes out, I mean, of course Zombie U looks interesting, but I mean, I'm not going to buy a $350 system and then drop $60 on another game that I'm not really that excited about. So I wasn't really excited for the Wii U to begin with. The only game that really made me interested in it was Aliens Colonial Marine, and I pre-ordered that for the 360. So I just don't have any interest in it.
What about Pikmin 3?
Don't care. I have Pikmin 1 for the original Wii or whatever for the GameCube, and I still haven't beaten it, so I just don't care.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's really hard for me to give a shit.
I'm not really into Pikmin that much either, but I think like to get a tablet with a system, it's like it's a decent price. It's just that I don't really want to buy any system yet.
But think of it like this. It's not really a tablet with a system. It's a controller that happens to have a screen in it. Like, I think people looking at it like, oh, it's like getting an iPad.
Mm-hmm.
With your Nintendo console. It's like, no.
There's a lot of multimedia functions though, Rob.
Yeah, if you're standing in front of your Wii U.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're doing that, you know what I mean? Like, why not just, like, use your laptop? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense to be like, yeah, I'm so excited for this, and oh god, I'm gonna get a tablet. It's like, okay, go buy the Samsung tablet that they have. It's like $200, and you can take it anywhere you want to go.
Well, and then my thing, and I talked about this a little bit with the Xbox Smart Glass, but it goes along with what we were talking about last week about addiction to technology and stuff. Why do you need information about the TV show that you're watching when you're watching it? Like, why do you need additional stuff? Why can't you just sit attentively and watch the show or the movie? Like, why do you need all this extra information?
Yeah,
like, when I'm watching something at home, like, my phone is not near me, and I'm not surfing the net or anything. I'm watching the movie or show that I'm watching.
It's funny.
That's what I'm doing.
It's because on Attack of the Show, they just had an interview with the chick from 24, Mary Elizabeth Rashkub or some shit. I don't know what her name is. I never watched 24. I don't care. But she's on this show called, like, Dirty Cleaning Crew. I don't know. It's about cleaning up crime scenes after people are dead. And that show is taking that approach to like, oh, it's a total multimedia thing. Like, when someone's listening to a voicemail, click on this button that's hovering over the voicemail to get more information about that person. And it's like, holy shit, just watch the fucking show. Like, this is awful. Like, who wants this?
Yeah.
My God. I think the thing that I would have used the tablet for would be to, like, watch videos on the controller and then flip it up to the screen, because, like, sometimes other people are watching, like, a sporting event or something, and you'd be like, hey, look at this cool thing, and then you gotta, like, give them the whatever you're using or have them come over, and, like, instead it's, like, really efficient and quicker, and I don't know. It just seems kind of fun to flip it up on the screen and flip it back down, and then someone flips out a picture, they flip it back down, and I don't know, then you flip your game back up.
Yeah, I think if I was a sports fan, like, the way they're integrating, like, the sports stats and stuff onto the screen would probably be really cool. I don't know, like, I still kind of want it because it's shiny and new. And I haven't played a Mario game in a while. Like, the last Mario game that I actually purchased was Mario Sunshine for the GameCube. I borrowed Galaxy from a friend and played all the way through that. So even New Super Mario Brothers Wii or U or whatever is something that I wouldn't mind playing because I have not played any of the other New Super Mario Brothers. But at the same time, I played Mario Brothers back in the day, so it still feels like, well, I've played these before.
Yeah, so. I mean, like, can we really get excited about Mario? It's jumping on bad guys. Like, enough. Like,
I do like jumping on bad guys.
Yeah, but still, it's like something that we've all experienced 6,000 fucking times before, you know? So it's like, I don't think that's enough to sell a system. If they were coming out with like an all-new Mario game, not repackaging old ones, but if they were coming out with something like Super Mario Sunshine, which was, in my opinion, really neat and innovative, like if they were coming out with something like that to launch with the Wii U, that would be really exciting to me, and that would maybe interest me in buying it. If they were, oh my god, I think the ultimate for me would be like a legitimate sequel to Super Mario RPG launching with the Wii U and integrating all that cool shit that they talk about. That's exciting, but that's not what we're getting. So, I don't know.
If there is more integration and stuff like that for a Mario game, I feel like there's a lot of untapped potential. So eventually on the system, I think a Mario game could take it to a whole new level of like sporting, like when you're trying to go like the fastest on each level and I don't know, the most coins, most kills and stuff like that. And I don't know. I thought it would be cool if Mario turned into like a sport.
Well, and that's a good point, Patrick, because one thing that kind of blew me away at the presentation, and not a lot of people have talked about, but when they brought out Black Ops 2, and they were like, hey, you can play multiplayer, on the same television. You can have one person on the TV and the other person playing on the tablet, and it works just fine. Like, that's kind of amazing, because you can do, you can basically do like split screen co-op without the split screen. And, like you were saying, Patrick, like if you're racing on like a Mario Brothers game, instead of having, like the screen get constrained to where like the second player can't keep up, you can totally leave the other player in the dust and the other player can just like be on the tablet screen. So
yeah.
There's a lot of really awesome multiplayer implications.
They can do anything that they want with Call of Duty Black Ops 2. It's not going to be as popular as it is on Xbox Live.
Well, no, of course not. But I think that that's a really cool option. Like, cause there's an entire section of people who don't go online but want to play multiplayer, and that's been going away in the last few years. And I think this is a really awesome way to bring it back.
Yeah, but like Call of Duty games, the multiplayer is powered by online communities. So like, if you're playing online with a Call of Duty game, you're just doing like you against bots. And
but that's what I'm saying, Rob, is there's people who don't want to play it online, but they want to play multiplayer. They just want to play with their buddies in the room. I think
those people are not buying Call of Duty. You know what I mean?
But Call of Duty is just the example that I'm giving because that's what they gave.
No, I know, but that's the strongest example that you guys are presenting.
Right, because that's all that's been shown. But what I'm saying is that that's a really cool option that can be used later on, because there are people that just want to play. Like there's brothers and stuff that like live in the same house. They want to play games together. They don't necessarily want to get online or can't get online. But here's like a really awesome way to do it and not have the screen chopped into bits. And split screen's been going away for the last like 5-6 years anyway. So this is a really awesome way to bring it back in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, like when I played New Super Mario Brothers Wii, that was one of the most difficult and challenging things when you played co-op, like in the same room together. you'd have like 3 people die right away on the level. That happened to me a lot. Like maybe because I was playing with a couple of novices and women. No,
wow, Jesus. I hate girl gamers. My name is Patrick.
We were in college and we were still learning, you know?
Sure. Sure. Learning how to be sexist.
I really just said it as a joke because one of them was really good. It was just that 3 people would die at the beginning of a level usually, and they'd be in bubbles, and we'd have to pop them back in the game. Or, more likely than not, I would just finish the level by myself because it's easier.
Right,
and, yeah, it won't be as hard because you have to have the camera helping yourself, not helping everyone.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited for other people to get the Wii U. I'm excited to hear about it once it launches. But, you know, I was really hoping to actually be in that launch event, you know, like actually line up and pick it up and take the day off and just play the hell out of it. But that's just not going to happen. So.
Did they announce, like, what's coming out launch day or what? Just the system, huh?
They announced, you know, the launch window games. So it's a really large list of games, like 50 games by the end of the year, but they didn't actually say what was coming out day one.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll find that out later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It'd be really funny if, like, New Super Mario Bros. Didn't make it for launch.
I think my favorite thing that you said about this whole Wii U thing is, I'm excited for other people to get it.
Well, yeah, I always, even if I'm not into the system, I always get excited when a new system comes out. Like, back at Game Fellas, I didn't care one whit about the original Xbox when it came out. It just didn't excite me at anything. But when we got our demo system and I opened it up, I was like, ooh, new system. So it just got me really jazzed, and I popped it in, and I turned on Dead or Alive, and I was like, that looks really cool. Like, I'm not going to buy the system, but I'm really glad that other people are. Like, it looks nifty. Like, I can't wait to hear, you know, what people say about it.
Yeah.
And yes, I actually did kind of sing like that. I was like, oh. I just love opening new systems, guys. It's you know, it's kind of like this fun little thing that only happens every few years.
Oh, yeah.
It's always very exciting.
When I got my N64 for Christmas, I was like that one kid on that commercial. Seriously, it's videotaped. I have one of those videotapes. It's like, is that me on that commercial, jumping around and like having a heart attack? Yep.
You know what's weird? I don't remember ever getting a system for Christmas. I could be wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I don't specifically remember one. I got my PlayStation, my PS1, as a Halloween present. So, yeah.
Yeah, what happened with me was like I had a Genesis and it like actually broke because I played it so much.
Yeah.
Like the doctors thought I had a problem, stuff like that. And then my parents were like, we're never getting you a new system again. And it broke in like September, which is like right around my birthday, so I didn't get anything. And then that year in like November, I think the 64 came out, and I'm like, oh, it looks so cool. Oh my god, I'm never gonna get it because I'm not playing games anymore. And then it came in.
I had left gaming when the Dreamcast came out, and I got the Dreamcast like right at the end of its life because I had discovered the magic of Shenmue and Crazy Taxi. So that sort of brought me back into gaming, but I didn't play for a little while.
I have never stopped gaming since I started, but you know, when it comes to my systems, I actually have all of the styrofoam, all of the documentation, all of the twisty ties, all of the instruction booklets for every system that I own. Like, so I can package them back up as if they were new, you know, at the drop of a hat. And I do whenever I move. Like they just get nicely put back into their plastic sleeves and fit back into the styrofoam casing and slid into their original boxes.
Do you have any like really, really original or like rare boxes? I was just watching PAX Prime on XPlay, and they had like a bunch of different games that are worth, you know, 10,000, 12,000. One guy had the only like known physical copy of the NES Superman game that never got made that goes for anywhere.
Saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. That game looked so awesome too.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this actually looks like it controls well for a Superman game, and that's...
Yeah, that's like the hardest thing on the planet.
Yeah.
I don't have anything that crazy. I'd say probably, I was just looking at this recently because I've I've been thinking about possibly selling off my collection or parts of my collection to like pay some debt down. Mm-hmm. And I was starting to look at stuff on eBay, and I do have a game that goes for between $300 to $500 for NES. It's a Panic Restaurant. It's a really delightful platformer that came out towards the end of the NES.
Oh my god!
Dude, they talked about that.
They talked about that.
Really? Yeah, I've got it in the box. I don't have the instruction manual, but I do have it in the box.
What I would do, honestly, is like, yeah, collecting is nice and all, but we're in a recession, so...
Right,
if I would actually entertain the idea of selling a lot of my shit, too.
Yeah,
but not my comedian stuff.
Guys, I think that if you have Panic Restaurant right now, you have to keep it until you retire, because that will fund, like, extra years of your life, I think.
Yeah, but he doesn't have that was the copy that they showed, Patrick, on the thing had everything. His doesn't have the instruction booklet.
Yeah.
Still.
So Patrick's like, no. It's a very good
don't
copy,
sell
but
it.
It's not pristine by any means. But yeah, I mean, I'm a collector, and part of it is for library purposes. Like I want to kind of preserve this stuff, but at the same time, I've been in the hole for a long time, and if I could help myself get out of it, that would be really awesome. There's definitely stuff that I would hold on to, like my Final Fantasy games, because I might just collect them. But I don't know. It's something I've been kicking around, because some of my stuff is like, wow, even like the limited edition of Ultimate Spider-Man for PS2 is worth like $80. Like, it's crazy stuff like that. I don't know.
I mean, I ended up getting like 100 for Final Fantasy VII when I sold it back in the day. This was like, I don't even know. This was years and years and years ago. But I sold that for about $100, and every time I check and see what it's worth now, it's not really that high. So
yeah, because it's been re-released so many times now.
Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with what I got.
Yeah, but of course my Final Fantasy is an original printing, so
yeah,
it looks like new.
I have the Game of the Year edition or whatever, the greatest hits one with the green on the side, so it's way less.
Yeah,
I think that's only worth like 20 or something.
Yeah, I have like the 8 and 9 though, like original. And Suikoden, the first one.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah,
that's worth.
I have a sealed copy of Ark the Lad Collection.
Oh wow, that's pretty awesome.
Oh my god!
Still has the price sticker on it.
Awesome.
$74.99. So yeah, games are less expensive now. People forget about that. Well, Rob, you'd want to talk a little bit about Rovio?
I would like to talk a little bit about Rovio. Rovio is a weird company, and in relation to the Wii, I mean, I think it was the COO, talked so much shit about Nintendo last year, back in 2011, and now all of a sudden we're going to be getting the Angry Birds trilogy on Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and on the DS. On the 3DS. So what I was thinking would be a nice boon to the Wii U, especially early on, would be if they offered everything Rovio has to offer, the Angry Birds trilogy, right away on that tablet that Patrick is so hard for. And if they could find a way to integrate that into the screen, so you're touching the screen and you're touching the controller screen, and on the actual flat screen that you're looking at, you're getting the game itself. So I think that would be an interesting idea if they could figure out a way to port that over to the Wii U from the 3DS.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Angry Birds being on consoles doesn't work besides the Wii U, because to me, Angry Birds is all about that finesse that you get from pulling back on the screen and kind of lining your stuff up just so. I mean, I guess you can do it with like an arc type thing, by like a cursor, but to me that defeats the purpose of that game. So yeah, like you say, Rob, like if you could do it on the Wii U where you're actually using your finger on the tablet, but it's actually affecting the TV screen, I'm down for that. but I'm not really excited about it being on PSN or XBLA.
Yeah, I mean, who cares, really? I mean, first of all, Xbox has, I think it's Angry Fish or something on the indie marketplace. Total knockoff, and even the art style looks like it, but it's like Angry Fish or something. So, you could just buy that for $1.
It's all about pigs, man.
Well, Bad Piggies looks like an interesting sequel in that it's kind of changing around the very nature of the game, whereas the first game was, when you play Angry Birds, whether you like it or not, it's very intuitive and the physics are really, really neat. Whereas Bad Piggies is supposedly going to be a racing game and a construction game. But they say that the physics in that and the way it plays intuitively is very smooth. So, be cool to see how that plays on, on a tablet or on, an iOS or anything like that. And if they could figure out a way to port that to the Wii U, then I think that would be a huge boon in sales. I mean, Nintendo does a really shitty job with their third-party indie developers, so I don't know if it's really in Rovio's best interest to do it, but, I mean, it would help Nintendo, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was definitely something from the Wii U press thing that I was disappointed in, that they didn't go into their online strategy, and they still didn't mention anything about, like, any type of achievement system. And the fact that the systems have such little or limited internal memory says to me that they're not going to support Virtual Console in any major way. Because, the Virtual Console is this really awesome concept that they have that they don't support. And that's frustrating to me.
I was just looking at a list of Wii U titles that are going to be on the system with launch, like the downloadables and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And there's quite a few. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's about 20 games that are going to launch with it. So that's pretty exciting, including Bit Trip Runner. The Cave from Double Fine. Trine 2 is going to be launching. Marvel Pinball is going to be launching. Mutant Mudds Deluxe is going to be launching with it. So I mean, it's pretty nice. Tokitori 2 is going to be going with it. So I think that's kind of exciting. But I mean, that's been such a huge boon for them in business, the Virtual Console. So I don't know why they would want to cut it. And also, remember the article that I wrote about the Miiverse or whatever? They don't really give a shit about the idea of competitive stuff. So I don't see them employing any kind of achievement system at all.
Right.
Because
that's problematic to me.
Well, the Miiverse is about bringing people together, so I actually kind of respect Nintendo for moving away from, the achievements and trophies concept, and making it more about, playing with your friends and stuff. Mm-hmm. So, I like that idea. I don't want to be searching for more achievements, since I don't have any kind of achievement addiction at all, guys. Yeah, I like that. I like that they're not doing achievements or trophies or Nintendo thing, whatever the hell they would call it,
But see, to me, I don't see achievements as being a competitive thing. I see it as more as being a social thing where, when you find a new friend on XBLA or whatever, usually one of the first things you do is okay, well, what do they have? Let me see, where our game interests, coincide. And he's oh, okay, he played this game, but he got way more achievements than I did. Or he played this game that I love, but he only got a couple, so he clearly didn't like it as much as I did. Stuff like that. I think it's part of the social aspect to it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of surprised. Well, I shouldn't be surprised they're not going that way. But I'm more concerned that, they've got a nice lineup of launch window downloadable stuff, but then you're not going to see crap for 5 months. Because that's what they've done with their other systems, where it's they come out really hard and strong with their digital stuff, and then it just dissipates.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I guess because I don't really play the Wii that much, but doesn't the Virtual Console, doesn't it really do a lot of business for them? That's all I've ever heard, is that the Virtual Console just kicks ass for Nintendo. So
if it does, they're not supporting it because they'll go months and months without releasing anything. I mean, and it's not really, part of it is licensing, but I mean, they've still got plenty of first party stuff that they could put out that they just don't.
Yeah.
And I got really excited with the 3DS because of Game Boy stuff. Being able to play old Game Boy games and Game Boy Advance. And by and large, that hasn't really been pushed as hard as they could.
Yeah, they've been putting out some weird Game Boy games sometimes.
Yeah. Which is good. I mean, there's some really awesome, weird Game Boy games. Like, I know they released Kirby's Block Ball, and that made me really excited, because that's one of my favorite black and white Game Boy games.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I just think they could go way, way deeper into that collection.
Yeah, they've usually been doing like 1 or 2 every month. Or no, like 2 or 4, like around there. So like once a week maybe. Yeah. But they're, like games you don't want to play sometimes.
Exactly.
So, alright. I don't know if you guys have been following like the whole PopCap EA thing, because it's kind of ridiculous, but PopCap laid off a lot of people last month. It's been about a month. And one of the people fired in this like restructuring of the company or whatever is George Fan, the guy who created Plants vs. Zombies. Do you guys realize this?
I had heard about this, yeah.
Okay. So, let's just go over the circle of events here. PopCap announces Plants vs. Zombies 2, and then fires the guy who created the first one.
Jeez. Was he a drug addict?
No, they fired like 50 people. No, they fired more than that. Yeah, they laid off like 50 people, and they closed their Dublin studio. So, does this make any sense to anybody? Like, if you're going to go into the sequel, why cut the first guy? Not only that, but he did a lot of the voices for the zombies too, by the way.
Man, so, that makes you like not want to be a part of the industry.
It's very, very strange, and I don't know how I feel, and this is going to be more about Plants vs. Zombies because I fucking love that game. It's one of my 5 all-time favorites. Like, there was a rumor for a long time that EA wanted PopCap to do a Plants vs. Zombies first-person shooter. Now, this shouldn't surprise anybody because it's EA, but at the same time, is that still happening? Because they talked very heavily about that, and now all of a sudden we're getting Plants vs. Zombies 2, which, for all intents and purposes, is not going to be drastically different than the first one. So I don't know if we're going to be getting the first-person shooter Plants vs. Zombies, or if we're going to be getting a genuine sequel to Plants vs. Zombies.
I really couldn't say. I mean, I will say that PopCap was at least praised for the way they let off their people, because they did it in probably the most humane way that they could. Where they were basically like, look, this is how it is. Like, we can either let these people go or keep them and then go under, type of thing. So, they kind of explained it in a way, and it didn't seem like they just like callously like dropped these people.
Yeah.
So there is that. I mean, as far as like the creator of Plants vs. Zombies, there's always a knee-jerk reaction to say, oh, how dare they? But we don't know the situation. Like, it could be that he really didn't like the direction the company as a whole was going, and was maybe getting a little antagonistic about it, and they decide, okay, well, we're letting people go, we probably need to go ahead and part ways with you as well. We really don't know the entire story. Or we probably never will.
Yeah.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I just think it's a really stupid, shitty move.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want the creator of a game, especially one as wildly popular as that, to be on board. So it's definitely a loss, and I wonder how that game is going to turn out. And I know PopCap said that EA wasn't responsible for this, but I always wonder about that, because I really feel that EA is responsible for the, simplifying / streamlining, if you will, of the BioWare RPGs. I don't want to say dumbing down, but, I mean, let's face it, like, Dragon Age 2 was a shadow of what Dragon Age Origins was, just like Mass Effect 2, as far as gameplay structure was a shadow of the original Mass Effect. And I really feel that whole time that's been EA saying, well, you got to do it this way because we want to appeal to this demographic and such like, stuff like that. Where I feel that if it was just the doctors in charge, they probably would have gone a little more in depth with those games.
Yeah.
That's just a feeling on my part. I could be totally wrong on that, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. It always bothers me when a really fiercely independent company like BioWare or PopCap gets absorbed by a place like EA. And I'm a fan of EA. Like, a lot of people are really down on that company, but I think this generation in particular, they've done a lot of really excellent stuff. So I'm not anti-EA. I'm not anti-big, gaming corporation, but, you know, there's stuff that you can't ignore and kind of rubs you the wrong way when you start thinking about it hard.
I can't believe they're losing money. Like, that game sold a ton, didn't it? I know all the kids I teach have it.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's probably one of those cases of reaching too far too fast. A lot of game companies make that mistake where they're like, oh, we're so big now, we're just going to open studios here, and here. Yeah, and wonder why their overhead gets so high.
That's sad.
And Patrick is on painkillers.
Patrick, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. No, sir.
I don't like it. No, sir, I don't like it. Oh my god.
So I guess that's probably going to kind of wrap it up for us.
Yeah, we're just...
yeah.
But before we go, Rob, you had a question that somebody wrote in a couple weeks ago, and we didn't get to it because of the technical difficulties, but I thought we could throw it in now.
Okay.
If you wanted to go ahead and bring that in, and we'll kind of close out the show.
Yes. Friend of the show, Jen, wrote in and asked, have we ever passed up sex in lieu of video games? And I'll answer this one first. I have on accident because I was with my fiance at the time, and I was playing Battlefield 3 with my buddies Mike and Jay, and we were just kicking ass and doing amazing and jumping off the cliff and skydiving. It's really badass. And then she was like, she texts me and she says, I'm going to be naked for the next 20 minutes. Come in here, whatever. And I was like, okay. So I'm playing the game. I was like, guys, I gotta go in 20 minutes. And then, of course, because it's Battlefield, we didn't land the plane in 20 minutes. So about 45 minutes went by, and I get up and go into the bedroom, and she's totally asleep. So in that sense, yes, I passed up sex for video games once.
Oh man, yeah, I feel good all the time. If we don't
I regret it.
We played a video game. We could have used our, prowess elsewhere. And there has to be someone out there who would have had sex with us.
You mean during?
Yeah, that's the other thing. I think we talked about this before, but they shouldn't be mutually exclusive. If we're playing a game, we should be able to have sex at the same time. But
I don't know. I think your KD ratio would go way, way down.
Yeah.
I guess for me, like, that situation has never come up. And, it's one of those things where I would like to say that, well, of course I would, like, if I was in Rob's situation, I'd be like, hey guys, I gotta go right now, and then hop to it. But I kind of, you can't really know what you're gonna do in any situation, until you're in that situation. Like, that's what I would like to do, but maybe I'd be, like, so into a game that I just wouldn't know. Like, the thing is that, hold on.
I just thought of how a kill-to-death ratio would go way up if you were having sex at the same time as playing.
How's that?
If you had a video of you at the same time as you're playing, like, when you're doing well or something, it shows, like, the best player or something like that, like Nintendo 3DS can do with Star Fox. Then everyone would be seeing what you're doing. They'd be like, what is that? Why I can't look away.
Totally distract the other players.
Yeah. It's a good tactic.
Yeah, that could possibly work. Yeah, I mean, in that situation, like in Rob's situation, like, that's pretty obvious. But I'm pretty bad at knowing when women are interested in stuff. So for me, it would probably be more of a, like, unless she was putting out, like, super obvious signs, I would probably be completely oblivious to it. Because also, I mean, I'd like to think that if I was in a relationship and, like, we're married or whatever and we're in the same house, my video game time would be, like, a very specific thing where it's like, okay, I'm going to give all this time to you, but there's going to be a couple weeks out of the year where I'm just going to be, like, incommunicado because the new Final Fantasy came out or the new Silent Hill came out or whatever, whatever game I'm really into at the time, that I'm just going to go and sit in front of the TV for a while. But I feel I would like to say that the rest of the time I'd be like, hey, whatever you want to do, like, I can turn this off. Like, there's a pause button. I can save right now. I can always come back to this type of thing. But I really don't know. I mean, if I'm in the zone like Rob was, playing something, especially with other people, I don't know. It could be a sticky situation, or I guess not.
I was gonna say like the same thing in all seriousness though. Like a lot of the times just will give girls the benefit of the doubt, saying they're just trying to be silly or something like that and not really hitting on me, so I'll just play a game or something and be like their friend. Unless they really say like, I'm wet,
Right, yeah.
But in that sense, like I used to play, like at college even, I would play like a little title after I got all my homework done, like Everyday Shooter or, I don't know, like Pixel Junk Monsters, and I would just play that and just, I could have hung out with someone who like said like, what are you doing? But they didn't say like, are you having sex? And then
there was times where I would
say, sorry.
No, what were you saying, Patrick?
Well, later on they would say, I used to like you, right? When I used to text you and stuff, and I'd be like, no, you didn't ever say that. Like,
yeah, because girls are stupid and obtuse.
Yeah,
I said.
They're romantic.
No, they're not. I think there was another time where like I was playing a single player game and my fiance came on to me pretty heavily, and I was like, oh, okay, we're done playing this. But that time I did not pass it up.
Yeah, I think I'm like Patrick. Like you've got to be pretty overt with me because I'm really bad at reading those signs. Like that, I spent enough time seeing signs that weren't there, when I was younger. Yeah. That now I'm just like, well, there are no signs ever. So,
yeah. You know what it is? It's like women will fucking beat around the bush, and like we're literal. Like our brains work differently. Like men are literal, women are figurative, and like you can be like, oh, I want you to come over and hang out, and like. Yeah, okay. Like, it's me and like 4 other people coming over. Like, does that mean you want me to come over, or you just invite me over, like, because they're coming? So it's like, tell me. Like, if you want to go out, fucking tell me. I had this happen, like, not super long ago. I found out a girl from high school had, like, a huge thing for me. All of senior year, a girl that I would have dated in a heartbeat. And I found out on the last day of high school that she had a thing for me. And then she mentioned it again when I saw her not super long ago. Last Halloween, in fact. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, well, to your point, it's like, you can say that come over and hang out and stuff, but like, some of me just doesn't want to pine my whole life. I want to get stuff done. I want to achieve things, and like, at least when I'm playing a game, I can see like that there are things I'm working toward, but like sometimes it's just not obvious, and like, I don't know, this person just wants to hang out and see what happens, but like, is that really going anywhere? I don't know, so I'm going to do the thing that I've already been doing.
Yeah.
Patrick just wants that platinum trophy to drop right away.
Exactly.
All right, I'll share a story of fail since we're getting into real talk. Because Rob's thing kind of reminded me of it, and I think it's relevant. But one of the first rated R movies that I went to go see was Disturbing Behavior with Katie Holmes. Ooh. And I went to go see it, and I was at the box office. I was getting my ticket. There was a bunch of people from high school that were there, and there was this girl named Brooke who didn't have her ID on her, so she couldn't get in. We're 18, so we still look, at that age where it's like, well, I'm not sure if I can let you in. And I was like, oh, I'll get your ticket for you. It's no problem. And I don't remember. It being me, I probably went ahead and paid for her ticket instead of just like have her give me the money or whatever. And I was like, don't worry about it. It's fine. So we walk into the movie and everything, and I like to sit in the back of the theater, kind of up high. And her friends were in the middle of the theater, but she came up and sat next to me. And I was like, okay, well, that's cool. I guess she's just trying to thank me for buying the ticket or whatever, and this is like the first time that I ever watched the movie with a girl. And, there's some parts of Disturbing Behavior that are a little freaky, and she started to get scared and everything, and I leaned over and I said, hey, are you okay? Like, do you want to step out for a little bit? She's like, no, I'm fine. It's okay. I was like, okay, cool. And we watched the movie, leave and I say goodnight, walk away, don't think anything of it. Well, a few days later, her friend Jessica, who works in the mall, that I do, comes in and says, oh, you should call Brooke sometime. Like, here's her number. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And didn't do anything with it because I was like, okay, well, Jessica probably knows that I had a little crush on her at the time and is trying to get my attention off of her. And never occurred to me that Brooke was actually interested and wanted me to call her and put Jessica up to give me the number. And this didn't occur to me until about a month ago that girl probably wanted to go out with me, and I probably could have had my first girlfriend at 18 instead of 30.
Oh.
So, yeah, I'm really bad with signs.
So, listeners, I'm just gonna say it. Just go for your dreams.
and never, and explore all options, even if they seem ridiculous to you.
Yeah, no regrets.
Yeah, literally, that thought never occurred to me until about a month ago, where I was like, epiphany! Like a little light bulb went off in my head,
Don't
14 years
die,
later.
don't die wondering, man.
Yeah.
It's the only thing.
The more you know. So, I think that's going to do it for this edition of Nerds Without Pants. Thank you, Jen, for your question. You can write to us various ways. You can either leave a comment over at pixelbit.com. You can also write to me personally, Julian at pixelbit.com. You can go to our Facebook fan page, which is facebook.com/nerdswithoutpantspodcast. You can leave us questions there, comments, feedback. If you want to come up with ideas for the show, which would be really nice, so that when there's situations like this where we're left with our pants down, well, I guess they're already down. We have a backup topic that we can come up with. We could definitely use those from you fine people. You can check us out at various places on the internet. Rob, what have you been up to lately?
Been reviewing a lot of movies for Just Press Play. Have a bunch of pieces on ibtimes.com, and I'm going to be trying to take on a bigger role at Chud, so we'll see how that goes.
Very good. So definitely check out Rob's stuff at those different venues. You can check out stuff from Patrick and myself over at pixelbit.com again. Please rate and review us on iTunes. We got a really nice review on iTunes last week, which I can't bring up right now, but I will actually read that on our next episode. Kind of give people some incentive to give us some nice reviews. It was a really cool one. And that's going to do it for this week. I think that's all of the
Twitter
housekeeping stuff. Oh, Twitters. Yes, thank you, Rob.
Oh.
Yes. Follow us.
Follow us on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter. Put the lotion in the basket.
Put the fucking lotion in the basket.
I am at Julian_Titus. Mr. Patrick.
I'm at some boss.
And Robbie.
I am at Robert Otone, Ottone.
And don't call him Robbie unless you want to get cut.
This is my laugh. This is my big dramatic laugh. Ha 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 ha.
So thank you again for listening, and we will see you in 2 weeks with another episode of Nerds Without Pants. In the meantime, keep it pantsless, Internet.
Yes, nice guitar solo. Play faster, Williams. It's a medal of drums. Please remember all the brought into your life. Williams, a Bobo, and Linda, together they skin ya. Forever, my loyal color guard. And I, a magical skeleton, a rendered to gelatin, because I dare to dream. And in my dream, I made Marianne my girlfriend. And in my dream, we lived happily, she and me. My bed was falling fast. Back to reality. But it was not meant to be. They caught wind and they came after me. I never expected to see Billy Lee. Barry had time to prepare. They were fast on their way to my lair. The trick and the plant and the bike got caught unaware. Yes, my God was in love. They were on the table and I had to confess. Nothing but right I'll be back. I'll return one day to antagonize you, Billy and Jimmy.
That's
Oh my.
oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my.
That was like
How, where?
that was like the Kool-Aid Man bit on the Family Guy episode. Oh no! Oh no! Oh yeah!
A lot of people
And I'm not imaginative.
are blaming the fact that Steve Jobs is dead for a lot of these really stupid changes that they're making, because they're basically saying, like, if he didn't die, then they wouldn't be renaming the earbuds, and they wouldn't be changing the 30-prong adapter.
I mean, like, the way that they build the lightning adapter was just hilarious. I don't think Jobs would have done that. Like, they were like saying, I mean, their huge hook was, and you can put it in either way. You can
Oh,
flip
jeez.
it. You can not flip it.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Should my dick be hard right now? Was that the idea? It's really kind of stupid looking too, the lightning adapter.
It's the coolest thing ever because you can't put it in the wrong way.
It's like, you need to calm down. Calm your ass down.
Yeah.
Should have sent it sooner.